DJ LeRoy.
NightWatchman. How you doing, buddy?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, good. We got an exciting show, man. I'm definitely excited because remember, both you and I, even though our palates sometimes differ, we're both foodies.
Oh,
So
yeah. Well, why else live in Harlem if we can't take advantage of the great food options?
very, very true. Very
But the
true.
food does not just show up. It takes a lot of hard work and dedication to give us these options that we have. So we had a chance to talk to the people who make it happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you know what? This first person, actually, she's a veteran of Soul Lounge. She's come on before, and Night Watchman. She had an event at her newest location, which she'll tell us about, and that, of course, is North End Food Hall. That can be none other than Miss Brie Lynch. Lauren.
Hello, guys. How's it going? Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
You are perfect.
you're great.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Great.
Good.
And needless
Thank
to say,
you for having me.
absolutely. You know, you're always welcome here. Night Watchman, we have somebody who's near and dear to me because he's from, can you say, this is not Wakanda. This is the BX, okay? So he's originally from the BX. That's how he rolls. And he's born and raised in Harlem, and sure enough, he's currently in the Bronx, but that is none other than, of course, Quie Slobert. Bring him out. Quie!
Slobert.
Oh, thank you, Night Watchman. This is why we have you here, just to do that. So, guys, please, I want you all to actually take me back, especially being that we're during lockdown, right? Still in COVID, technically, but yet both of y'all have found a way to expand the footprint of your businesses. So, Lauren, please tell me about the latest iteration, North End Food Hall.
North End Food Hall was in the works. I think we signed the lease on my birthday, January 19th, 2017. And it was, a full build out that was done by the landlord.
Mm-hmm.
And we were getting ready to open, and then COVID hit, and we decided, no one really wanted to go into a community space or a food hall during COVID. So
Right.
that put the pause on it again. And
Mhm.
then we decided, as things were lifting in April of 2021, that we were going to go ahead and do it, even though a lot of people had fallen out of the project. Bear Burger was no longer there, the ramen spot, the coffee spot. But we needed another kitchen because delivery had gotten so big for our other bar, Harlem Public. So we had this opportunity to take over the kitchen there. We were always going to be the bar. And in June, we finally opened our doors 2 weeks before I gave birth. It was down to the wire. And then La Chula, which is located in East Harlem, that's Julian Medina, Megan Manzi, they joined us in October. And we have a mac and cheese pop-up going with Devour Power, the social media team. And it's, it was slow going in the beginning, but we've been able to host a lot of, parties for Columbia Hospital or for NYP, Columbia University. And recently, when you and I were hanging out, we've been working with the Uptown Cannabis Coalition and doing wellness Wednesdays to help people learn about cannabis and the different businesses and everything. So that's been really, really great. Next Thursday, the Easter Bunny's coming. Great place to bring kids and the whole family, and big groups where everyone just walks up. If you want Harlem Public food, if you want the mac and cheese, if you want Mexican, and you don't have to worry about splitting the bill 20 ways. And so lots of positives.
Beautiful. Very, very nice. So, Quie, do tell, because not only 72nd Street, but now I consider the mothership right there on West 145th Street. Charles Pan Fried Chicken returns to Harlem in a big way.
Yes. I see you saying your name, thinking about the food, getting a little stumbling on that. It's cool, but Charles Pan Fried Chicken, we're here. We're here in Harlem now. But Chef Charles Gable, he never really left Harlem. He started in Harlem. He had his own little food truck. He had his table out. If you're from Harlem, you know who Chef Charles is. Unfortunately, COVID happened. He had to shut down his restaurants. And then we combined forces. And together, this is us now.
Nice.
We started a new spot, opened the week of Valentine's Day on 72nd Street. Big success, had a great time up there. The community welcomed us with open arms. They was there, support out the door, meaning people wind up. It's still happening. But Charles had to come back to Harlem. He had to come back to Harlem for sure. Obstacles over obstacles over obstacles. The workers, get Con Edison going, to get, but Charles started where he couldn't get a loan from the bank. Charles was 74 years old, so his motivation back then was doors slammed in his face, and he never stopped. So COVID couldn't stop him at all. And when we opened up Harlem on 145th and Edgecombe, he wanted to give back to the community. We fed over 700 people that day for free.
Nice.
Charles is paying rent to this place for 2 years and couldn't open it. But he didn't want to open it up and start selling food. He wanted to say, hey, listen, thank you, Harlem. Thank you. And we did it damn well.
Very, very nice. And you know what? What Quie is speaking about, Lauren, do tell me if you had a similar experience in terms of the build out, dealing with contractors, and especially the New York City bureaucracy that one often finds in projects like this. You know what? I think we may. There you go. Did you hear
Sorry
me?
about that.
That's all right. So
I think for us, Con Ed was a huge problem too. We thought that we didn't need to bring a new line in, and in the end, with the amount of stalls we had, we were forced to bring a new line in. So that heavily delayed everything, and without airing anybody's grievances, it's so there's always the bureaucracy in the city, and adding COVID to it definitely doesn't help.
For sure. And Quie, because you mentioned, I mean, it wasn't just a week, 2 weeks, a month. We're talking about several months or whatever, where stuff was just not moving, and people are saying, when is it opening? Tell me.
We're talking about 2 years. So about 2
Woo!
years. 2 years in the making.
Incredible.
But Charles didn't stop. Charles actually fed the homeless during this whole COVID shutdown. So as we love to do, his passion is to cook. And, he's not going to go out there and build homes. He's going to do what he do best, and show his love and cooking. So he cooked for the homeless throughout the whole COVID situation. So it's been 2 years, paying the rent, trying to build out and try to get open. Con Edison wasn't coming. Obstacles on obstacles, but we survived. We're still coming. We didn't stop. How could we? Charles came from North Carolina. He came from the cotton fields. So how am I going to be here in New York City from the Bronx, from Harlem, now I'm in the Bronx, telling him, yo, we can't do this. There's no in his vocabulary. There's no I can't do this in his vocabulary. He said, nah, we're going to cook for the peoples. We're going to cook for the peoples. And that's it. You know him, you know how he speaks.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Quie, for sure, that particular thing of doing build out of 145th, but 72nd, was that an easier lift? What happened there? Okay.
No, honestly, we found the 72nd Street location first. So it was similar obstacles. But when you come back to Harlem, it was even a little more hurdles. It was more the gas line, more of this, more of that, more red tape. And it was slowing us down. It was really slowing us down to the point where Charles thought like he wasn't able to do it. But then he snapped back and thought about himself, who he was, and said, nah, we're going to do it. But 72nd Street was amazing. We opened that pretty soon, but we had that also for a year and a half before we even started working on it.
Beautiful. Wow, man. Hey, Night Watchman, I see that we have someone else actually looking to join us here. Let's see. We have this Adrienne, Chef Adrienne Cheatham. How you doing, Adrienne?
I'm good. How are you today, Curtis?
Good. So, Adrienne, please, you got to tell us, of course, your journey of chef, and of course, most recently, can you say author?
Yes, we can. We can officially say cookbook author.
Okay. So do tell us, Adrienne, your journey and getting to where you are.
Well, I started growing up in restaurants. My mom worked in restaurants, just like any other neighborhood. We grew up in Chicago. Small businesses were kind of the norm back then, especially in the 80s. So independent small restaurants, and my mom worked her way up in one. So I was raised in a non-smoking section back when that was a thing. And I
Gotcha.
always knew I wanted to stay in the restaurant industry. I really couldn't see myself doing anything else. So after college, I went right back to it, and then eventually moved. I went to FAMU, so I went to college in
Mm.
Florida,
Oh yeah.
and then moved up to New York and
Mhm.
started working in restaurants, and eventually went to culinary school. And I've been cooking professionally. I mean, not the years that I didn't get paid for it, but the years that I have actually drawn a paycheck for cooking is probably about 20 at this point.
Wow, nice, nice. Okay, okay, very good. Well, you know what? Do tell now, Lauren, because you're actually trying to multitask over there now. Is your cat in the vet already?
Yeah, the cat's in the vet, so we're standing by, and then we've got the dog here, and then
Aw.
we got the baby in the back, who's being a
Wow.
very good girl right now.
I love it. Love it. Excellent. Excellent. And so, Lauren, getting these various, typically at the North End Food Hall, how many potential businesses might populate it at one time?
So we're planning on in the next year launching another concept for in the food kitchen. We don't know
Mm-hmm.
what it's going to be. We're probably going to experiment with some additional pop-ups, but that will be under
Mm-hmm.
the Harlem Public umbrella. And then we have another stall that is ready. They have brokers showing it all the time, and it's set up to be like for Asian cuisine, because it was supposed to be ramen. And then
Mm-hmm.
we're looking for a coffee vendor as well. So somebody who just does their baking off site and wants to come in and provide coffee. There's a lot of traction in the morning, so we're hoping to capture that as well as people are going to work.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Quie, you definitely have to kind of let me know whatnot, because I've heard some stories about you guys expanding once more.
Yes, yes. Not once more. The plan is for this year, and it's a plan
Say
that not
say that
going
one
out.
more time for this year.
For this year, yeah, it's for this year.
Wow.
So it's not like, oh, I want to do four. It's like we're going to do four.
Mm.
72nd Street was the second location that we thought would open up, but circumstances, 72nd Street opened up first. Now we had 149th Street and 145th and Edgecombe. Next one's gonna be 111th Street on the east side. That should
Wow.
be up in around 4 months, and then after that, back to 125th Street in Amsterdam.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Mm.
And Adrienne, when we first actually met each other, there was a talk about you trying to find a location in Harlem and do your thing. Is that's still on the table? Tell me.
Yeah, well, I was executive sous chef at Le Bernardin. I worked there for 8 years. After leaving Michelin-starred fine dining world, I went to work for Marcus Samuelson as
Mhm.
corporate chef de cuisine. So I think we met when I had just left. I was corporate, but I was also exec chef of Red Rooster. So I wore a lot of hats during that time.
I remember.
And I was with Marcus for a while. We opened several restaurants, Bermuda. We were planning on the London. Miami had just started planning. And I got to the point that, I was like, you know what? I want to do this for myself instead of for somebody else. But I eventually got a call to do Top Chef. So instead of opening a place, I went to do Top Chef and came in second. And
Congrats.
that was, thank you. And it was so much fun to have the flexibility of a pop-up series instead of a brick and mortar restaurant. So at that point, I was planning on opening a place, but then different TV shows and just so many different things that I hadn't planned on, just opportunities presented themselves in different ways. So I actually have not gone back to the plan to open a place of my own. I've been still doing the pop-ups. And then with the cookbook writing that over the pandemic was definitely kept me busy. So I'm not sure. I do want to open a place in Harlem, but I'm not sure when. If I wanted, I was actually looking at it in 2019 and was thinking about partnering with an old friend of mine at a location that had become available on Lenox. But I just, something told me no. And then COVID hit. So I'm incredibly, thank God I didn't open then. And so, ever since COVID, I was like, is that what I want to do right now? Or do I want to
Right.
continue trying to do some more television shows?
Mhm.
Literally, the cookbook comes out next week. So I'm
Ah.
in the middle of like the height of everything now.
Okay, so eventually I will see you to get an autograph of it, huh?
Yes. And I did my cookbook photography near the Edgecombe location of Charles Pan Fried Chicken.
Ah,
And when I saw
right.
it being built out, I was so excited. I was like, oh my God. Like, I brought my photographer and everybody. I was like, y'all have to come back up here when it opens.
Very, very nice. So, Night Watchman, I know that you're salivating over there already. So, what do you want to say?
Well, first of all, I love to hear the different stories and just the common themes of adaptability and multitasking and being flexible, because I guess the job of a restaurateur is part artist, problem solver, part multitasker, and between figuring out the capital to open up, the personnel, going through all of the we talked about the the administrative difficulties of opening up, and all that just to get to the good food is it just amazes me. But I think I want to ask, we've talked a lot about the trials and tribulations. I want to ask you guys to share a little bit about your food influences. What made you really passionate about food, and what were the formative experiences that you had that got you into this crazy life that you guys are living?
Anyone, jump on it.
Well, I'll
Yo,
jump in first.
go ahead. We got
My
you.
first job was at the Shrimp Box on Lenox on 135th. I don't know about Pam's. I remember Pam's used to be on 135th.
Mm-hmm.
Right there, it was a place called Shrimp Box. I was cleaning fish one day, and then I started cooking, making sandwiches. I made sandwiches for a radio host. Should have been you, but it wasn't you. And he said on the radio that it was the best sandwich he ever had. And that feeling that I got of him enjoying something that I created was like the biggest high I've had in my life. So that led me to the path of going to culinary art school. I graduated from culinary art school, started working for Justin's, Raoul's. I had a great time doing it. Doing being-made parties, had a great time doing that.
Nice.
But then I wanted more. Went back to school, got my bachelor's degree in business, then I started running restaurants. So this is where my path has been. This is what I know. I don't know. A chef isn't selfish at all whatsoever. We enjoy watching them eat our food and enjoyment. That's what we take home from us. That's what makes us happy. And now I have the opportunity to work with Charles Gabriel himself, the great chef Charles Gabriel. It's amazing to watch him work, and it's unfathomable. But I'm here with him right now, and this is real life for me. And this is amazing. But this is my path to this world of craziness.
well, sure enough, welcome, Quie. Welcome.
I also have to say this. I went and visited the store. I guess it was earlier this week. Where I was able to catch it when the line was short, which is not very often. But it's also good. You see Charles' picture on the wall, but then I saw him in the kitchen doing what he does, and it's like there's just something about that just made me feel good. It's like, okay, that's because I've been a fan of Charles since the 8th Avenue spot. I used to live close by when he was up on 8th and I guess it was 149th or 150th, something like that. And so just to see the longevity, because we recognize as consumers, we recognize how hard it is to not only get a restaurant open but keep it open, and we've seen a lot of some of our favorite restaurants go by the wayside, and so we're so glad that you guys are here and bringing us some really great food options.
Absolutely. And Lauren, certainly you remember when I was getting on you when I rolled into Harlem Public and I said, yo, where's the delivery? How come you guys don't deliver? And sure enough, we get locked down, and you know what? We have delivery, Houston. Yes, indeed. Tell us.
Yeah, there is definitely a silver lining to COVID, and that is that we are now able to do delivery. We finally took that on. and also that we're able to have these outdoor dining platforms that are essentially, you know, expanding our dining rooms to the point. I mean, our kitchen is very small. We don't have chefs. We have my partner Chad, who's just worked in kitchens his whole life, and definitely a foodie. But I would say unlike the other people on here today, I don't have this big culinary past. I love eating. I love all different types of international foods. But, you know, I came by way of, I was a teacher before this, and then I was a buyer for Wayfair. So like very different path to get into the restaurant industry.
Yep.
But also, you know, that's the thing. It's not just the food and it's not just the drink. Like there's a lot of business and getting capital and being able to navigate these businesses that are very temperamental, and you know, there's just a lot of other things that go into a restaurant besides the food, although without good food you're kind of hosed.
that is so true. Adrienne.
But I agree with Q, the whole like creating something and seeing people enjoy it and creating a community is an amazing feeling to see that.
Love it. So Adrienne, please do tell me, because when you talked about along 100, let's say along Lenox, a number of available spots I saw. But funny enough, I was there yesterday after a performance at the National Jazz Museum, and there were a couple of commercial spots that I said weren't there maybe a few days ago. Now they're suddenly enlivened. Do you know anything about stuff like that happening on the Strip? Is this a new boom for culinary things?
I mean, that's, you know, I hate to say, like during COVID, rents were suppressed for a little while, but they've gone back up. So some people were able to sign leases and get rents at a reasonable rate because they were already way too high. And Harlem used to be a neighborhood you could come to open a restaurant and have a safe margin. But before COVID, when I was looking at spaces in 2019, I mean, the rent cost was going to be much higher than I anticipated. So luckily, some people did get these leases and are opening up places. And I'm so excited to see what they do in the neighborhood, because everything that opens brings something new. It's like, you know, like when Veneteria opened, you know, it brought something new to the neighborhood. Spanish, Italian, wine bar. Every restaurant and business that opens in the neighborhood just makes one more thing that I don't have to leave Harlem for. I can stay in my own neighborhood. I can support businesses in my own neighborhood. Like we got a massage place on 8th. I don't have to go downtown anymore. I was so happy when a massage place opened up here.
Nice. And you know what? I'll throw this out. At NightWatchman, certainly you remember this. Emperor's Row, right? Now, are there some food concepts that are ahead of their time, or maybe, you know what, just ahead of the neighborhood to catch up? Anybody weigh in? Tell me about that.
Do you guys remember the sushi restaurant that was on? It was owned by the people who own
the wine shop,
the winery. Yeah,
yes,
sushi place that opened on 8th. I think it was on like 114 or 113.
Jado sushi.
Yes,
they were way ahead of the curve.
Yes, they were good too. Yeah,
really good. And for some reason I missed that. I lived up on 133rd between 6 and 7 for like 12 years, and I didn't even know about Jado until they were closing.
Wow.
Like, how did I miss this the whole time? I had been going to Ethiopian restaurants and all that, where there was already a community around to support them. But I feel like that was one of the places that was really ahead of its time in the neighborhood.
Absolutely. And Quie, do tell, because I understand that in terms of desserts, I'm not looking to Charles, I'm looking to you.
Well, Charles got approved bakers. We bake our desserts fresh every night. Nothing's frozen at all whatsoever. They come in here once we clean up and close down. They're overnight baking for you guys to make sure it's pristine, fresh. Like seriously, they love what they do. They find passion. They're Charles approved, so you know what that means. They're good to go.
Excellent.
But that's important for us. Like Charles food is fresh. He used to get up in the morning time, go to the market. He'll come in, he'll cook it himself, prepare it, he'll serve it, and do it all over again. So the same concept, we're keeping that alive. We cannot let that die at all. We have a new look, new clean look, a little fresh, kind of fresh young look, but we're still keeping the essence of Charles. Everything's fresh, no matter what it is. That's his motto. If he won't eat it, he won't serve it. So it's everybody can treat yourself. It's really gonna happen when it comes to his barbecue menu now. He has time to make the desserts that he approved of. We're making it happen for you guys. Everything's fresh daily. Every morning, cooking around the clock.
That is amazing.
Yeah, totally. And Lauren, I definitely have to say that I really am kind of thrilled when I walk into North End Food Hall that I have now some different options that I did not have before. So was it always because of that big space to have these various vendors in there?
Yeah, that was always the plan. And originally it was Filtered Coffee was also in there, signed on, and then Bear Burger, and then someone from Jin Ramen, and we're really looking. So if Adrienne wants to come check it out, if she's interested in Washington Heights at all, we're not in charge of signing the deals or anything, but I think that it'd be great to have more food, especially international food up there, because I think Washington Heights is even further behind than Harlem in just all the different types of international cuisine. So they have some amazing places up there, but I'd love to see more Asian, more Middle Eastern foods coming into that area.
I'm coming to Washington.
Yeah.
I'm coming.
Nice. All right. This is like the Avengers of Harlem Restaurateurs.
Assemble!
We got Chef JJ Johnston here in the house from Field Trip. How are you?
What's
Chef
up, buddy?
JJ?
How's everyone doing today? Thanks for letting me jump on late here. Great conversation going on, but I agree. Washington Heights, I think, is a place where the big chains have been dominating for a long time. They keep really on a hush hush. If you really pay attention, Chipotle's open almost 10 Chipotles from 135th to 189th Street on Broadway.
Wow.
It's really like 5 blocks by 5 blocks, all brand new ones. And their footprints are $2 million stores. So if they know they're going to make $2 million in the market, that's where they go. So if they're doing it, we should all be looking to go in those areas.
Excellent. And Chef JJ, we had a nice little conversation, and it was about some of the work. So all of you guys, because Quie, I actually heard it from you as well, that in terms of providing, let's say, sustenance to essential workers and emergency workers. Thank you, guys. I definitely want to thank you for that. And Chef JJ, your idea for expanding during this period, tell me about it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was very fortunate that Harlem took really good care of Field Trip, and we were able to feed frontline workers and families and children in need with a bunch of organizations from NYCHA to Harlem Grown to Rethink Foods to Harlem Chamber of Commerce. We're still feeding people today, but big landlords were suffering too, right? Restaurants were closing and with big landlords. And I just happened to meet one of the biggest landlords in New York, Tishman Speyer, and they invited us to open up a place in Rockefeller Center, and they needed us just as much as potentially I needed them. And that kind of opened up my eyes to say, let me go out and raise a little bit of money, because if us as small independent restaurants don't take up spaces, then all we're going to keep seeing in our neighborhoods are the big players, as in Popeyes, Wingstops, McDonald's. So that got me out to do that, and why I'm looking in communities as like Columbia University or Washington Heights or the Bronx, because I want to make sure places like Field Trip or Charles Pan Fried Chicken, we should be in the neighborhoods, because those are the people that will help uplift our brand and then go into other neighborhoods. So that's what really got me started, really to figure out how to expand Field Trip. And I'm just really fortunate to still have a restaurant and be around.
Well, and NightWatchman, certainly these particular restaurateurs and chefs aren't necessarily concerned with just making some money, but also putting the culture in the community. And Chef JJ, certainly with you, rice is culture. Just love that. How did you come up with that tagline, man?
Every table, right? Every table I've ever been in around the country or in my own home, rice was always the center of the plate. And I believe that everybody's grown up on a rice culture or rice dish. So that's our slogan, rice is culture. It will never go away. It will always be with us. And now it's so interesting. Many people walk in a field trip and go, hey, when are you going to have this rice dish or this rice? And I'm like, I wish I could have it all. But this is our core, and we're going to start doing some fun stuff with some seasonality things and also highlighting some other cultures from around the world.
So chefs, restaurateurs, tell me, Adrienne, what's your tagline? What are we looking at?
Mine is Sunday best. Always has been, always will be.
And
Sunday
I believe
best every day.
Like, of course, what name of the book? Is that it? Yeah.
Yep. It's the name of the pop-up series. It's the name of the book. It's a way of life. It's more than just like, it's a feeling. It's that feeling that you have on the weekend when you put on something cute. Either you're going to church or you're going to visit family, but you're with people that you love. You're putting your best foot forward in terms of attitude, food you're cooking for people. Just everything about the day comes from a place of love. And that kind of spirit is what I try to bring to every day of the week.
Love it, love it. I have to say that I am married to a woman who does not eat red meat except for lamb. Go
nice.
figure. Yes, and of course she's now feeling the spice mini lamb meatballs.
Oh yeah, yep. That's
So
a good recipe. I did that on the Good Dish TV show the other day. Actually, it aired yesterday, but we filmed it like a few weeks ago.
very, very nice.
So you said the what date is the book available now?
April 12th. It's available for pre-order now, but it officially comes out April 12th.
Okay. Excellent. And I definitely have to say, Night Watchman, what have we both been experiencing in terms of, let's say, lockdown? Have we or have we not supported a lot of the neighborhood restaurants?
Oh yeah, but we were doing that before the lockdown.
Well, you trying to say I don't like to cook? Is that what you're trying to say? Huh?
No, not at all. First of all, your wife is a wonderful cook, as we know. So you have great meals at home, as do I. But that's why we have an appreciation for the food that we have in Harlem. So because let's face it, we still don't want to cook every day. But it's nice to have places that we can go. We can sit now we can go and sit down and have a meal. We were able to have them delivered. I'm impressed even by some of the late night options. As you know, I'm a late night person, and there's a food truck in front of Harlem Hospital that has some of the best shrimp in Harlem, and you can get it at 24 hours a day.
The Palomino truck.
Yeah.
What's that? The Palomino truck?
I think so. When I used to live on near 135th, that was my late night spot.
Okay, see, the people who know. Okay.
Wow. So now here's I guess the quick question I'm going to ask. We certainly do know that during the summer there have been a number of things. We know about Open Streets, which hasn't shut down. Do you believe that Open Streets has been able to assist you during the lockdown or not? Tell me, Chef JJ.
I did not disturb my neighbors. I did not put out outside seating. You can't do Open Streets on no 116th between 115th Street. Not going on over there. So I think that's also being a good neighbor for us. Is like you really need to know who's around you and what's going on, right? Like I think if we block parking spots on the street, people are really upset with us over there. So we just put out maybe a table. We might put out a couple tables and some benches this summer. But I think what I would like to see, is, especially in the corridor I'm in, is a little bit more life. I think that's a corridor that does need to get built up and does need a little bit more attention. because there's so many vacancies over there. And I remember Adrienne was looking at where that old Conway used to be, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, that's a big space. Yeah. Okay.
You know, there's a couple things between 115th, 116th that still make you feel like a very old school Harlem. And it, you know, things are starting to come. There's like a Go Puff next door to me now. But there, you know, open streets for me on that corridor could be something really great in the summer to uplift. If it's a farmer's market, if it's anything. But I think we have to be smart on what we do in that corridor. I can't just put a big thing in the middle of the street and say, sit down here.
It's too busy.
Lauren, where you are, there are
I'm like, yes.
On Broadway, where you are, I guess it's a necessary to have the open streets concept, correct?
I mean, you know, I don't think anything's 100% necessary, but we always had sidewalk cafes prior to this. I lived in the building of Harlem Public for 10 years, so I know all my neighbors really well, and if they were ever unhappy, I'm only a text away, which can be good and bad. You know, getting a delivery and the truck is idling, and I'm getting texts at 7 a.m. But yeah, so it's been really great. It created a scene there, for sure. I mean, we were able to we were trying to legally open up the backyard of the Honeywell since 2017. So COVID allowed us to do that, and we have now a shared backyard with the coffee shop next door. And you know, you've been back there, Curtis. You know, it's just very relaxed, and it's a great date spot, and you know, very, very whimsical. We're in the middle of redoing it right now. Since last year, it was like, I mean, I was like pulling chairs out of the garbage in order to build that space. So yeah, we're really excited, and people are already coming out there and booking and wanting to sit outside. So it's a nice little escape from Broadway.
Beautiful. And Quie, certainly along West 145th Street, you can't do it in terms of open streets, I believe.
No, but we have a huge sidewalk on Edgecombe, so we're going to build some
nice.
Put some time. You know, 72nd Street, we actually have standing tables. You know, someone wants to sit there and eat because they come in, they eat the food, they eat anywhere. You just roll up by 72nd Street, they're on their cars eating their food, even if it's not their car. So yeah, we want to accommodate. We won't block the street, but it'll be on the sidewalk.
Gotcha. And certainly, I guess for all of you guys, when you're building out a restaurant, certainly you want commerce and trade from those outside of the community. But you guys, what I pose it to you, when you were building your concept, was it for the community?
Well, Charles, yes, all back, it was for the community. Him going to 72nd Street was to build in a new community.
Good.
Because Charles always had people coming uptown anyway, so it wasn't that he always had a following that extended beyond the community.
And may I say how grateful they are that they don't have to travel to Harlem, which is sad. But we're going to a lot of people saying, "Oh, we don't have to travel. We're here." But now that, you know, we are there, and we are also at 145th and Edgecombe, we are hiring our community. You know, I grew up on Bradhurst 216, right down the block. I can see my old home from there. Now we're hiring the youth. We're teaching them how to run a business. You know, they have the chance to work with Charles Gabriel in his community. So he's hiring the community back and giving back to the community who fed him. He's feeding them and feeding their kids.
Nice. And Chef JJ, I do recall when you were opening a Field Trip, that was definitely you wanted the community to come in to see this shining light coming from the business and go in and explore.
Yeah, very similar with Charles. I looked up to people like him and say, "Hey, somebody's been in community for a very long time. Can I plant something that could be the new era of what the community could look like?" So, and you know, my biggest thing was I wanted to give people a chance to consciously be able to eat better at an affordable rate. And we don't see that from other fast casual chains in New York City or around the country come to our communities. They work around us, or they come later on when they have nowhere else to go. So for me, it was like, if I could start here, if I can make it in Harlem, I can make it anywhere in the world. And if you see that with Charles is doing that now, 72nd Street. I walk by there. I go running. I go to Orange Theory sometimes. I walk by that location. People are in the street out the door, and I'm like cheering on, like, yes. That's what it's supposed to be like. So, sorry about my dog, but yeah, I mean, for me, it was a community, and now hopefully we can transplant that into other communities that look like Harlem.
Gotcha. And Adrienne, tell us about your thing in terms of. Yes, I see the background. Your mom's, in terms of her restaurant experience, then transferring it down to you, whatnot. So, what has been your idea in terms of opening an establishment in Harlem? What's your ultimate vision? What do you see?
So, like I mentioned, I'm not sure if I actually want to open a brick and mortar right now.
Not now. Okay.
I mean, I've enjoyed doing the pop-ups, and then obviously had to take a break during COVID. But that's the reason I started my pop-up series in Harlem. Yes, I've done Chicago, Atlanta. I've done other cities. I even did one in Brooklyn. But for the most part, I've hosted every pop-up at a different Harlem restaurant or a different location around Harlem, because I wanted, after doing Top Chef and, working in the industry for a long, working in the industry for a long time, I had people who were interested in coming to Sunday Best and trying these pop-ups and meeting new people. And it was never just like, I'm going to cook a menu and I'm going to take over your restaurant. I would always invite the chef, like, to do a cocktail, 30 minutes with some hors d'oeuvres, do at least one course on the menu. If you want to do two, even better. And then we can make it like a 4 or 5 course meal. Nice. But it was never just about bringing people, like, selfishly, for me to just feed them. It was to bring people to new restaurants in Harlem and establish restaurants in Harlem so that they could experience the community, the food, the hospitality that I've come to know after living in Harlem for 14 years now. So, every restaurant I hosted at, it's get to know this chef, get to know this restaurant. And even if I'm not hosting a pop-up here, come back to Harlem and support these restaurants.
Excellent. And Lauren, pretty much in terms of you, when you first moved into the community, was Harlem Public right on your mind, or did you want to explore some other things before that kicked in?
No, I think we always knew that, when we moved in there, it was all like empty storefronts and on that block and all around us, really. And there's been a lot of great things that have popped up since, including kind of our own stuff. But I mean, Harlem Public was always going to be about great food, making things affordable, so that whether you were a longtime resident or just moved there, like, everyone could come together, like an uptown Cheers bar. And from the time we opened up our doors, that's what we got. And the neighborhood's been, like, amazing to us. We also, when it came time to build at the Wallace, it was like everyone loved Harlem Public's food so much. And we're like, but we really still want a bar. So it was all about creating this bar atmosphere. And then, the Honeywell couldn't have opened in 2012 when we were planning Harlem Public. It's a higher price point. We don't allow people to stand, so it's not volume based. So prices have to be higher. But, we still have happy hour and everything to make it affordable. And we still do events and things that make people feel like they can come in there. So yeah, it's all been kind of, we all live right there, and it's like knowing what the community wants, because you're in the community. And we would have opened up a coffee shop had Chip Cup not done it. I would have partnered with someone with like an Asian cuisine concept if Andrew from Hand Pulled Noodle didn't decide to do it. So and now we have Sugar Hill Creamery across the way, and Uptown Bourbon, and it's really just kind of expanded out to be this corridor where you can get a lot of different options.
And curious, that particular space, which is a nice a footprint, what was it before your concept? I'm just curious myself.
Harlem Public had been empty for a really long
No,
time.
I'm sorry. You know what I'm thinking
Oh,
of? North End.
oh, so with North End, it was, I guess, a party city, and
Mm,
then it had been vacant for a while, and then it was one of the developers. He's no longer with the company,
hmm
but it was his brainchild to do a food hall, and he wanted, food halls were popping up downtown everywhere, and
hmm
he was like, let's do an uptown food hall. So it was definitely ahead of its time in 2017. Since there's been other things uptown, like in the Bronx, food hall
hmm
based, but at the time it was definitely a newer concept.
Gotcha, gotcha. All right, and Quie, certainly I do recall that Chef Charles Gabriel and I believe Mike Eisenstadt had a concept on Broadway in like 109th, Rack and Soul.
Rack and
All right.
Soul, yes.
Okay.
That did pretty well.
Okay. Tell me about that, man.
Rack and Soul was one of Charles' little baby on the side with Mike. The barbecue ribs, the pulled
hmm
pork, something that Chef Charles actually finessed it and brought it to Charles Pan Fried Chicken. So now everybody know about Charles Pan Fried Chicken, but now
Yeah.
he has time to do the same barbecue, just a little more finesse with the ribs here. We have ribs, we have pulled pork, we have barbecue chicken. So his menu has upgraded and he has time to do so. So that same taste that you got from Rack and Soul that people love, imagine that souped up a little bit better, a little bit more Charles secret seasoning on that. So that's what we have here now. So we didn't lose the barbecue soul, we didn't lose the spirit. He's doing what he loved to do and that's prepared.
hmm
Where was this on 109 in Broadway? Wait, where was this? I'm like looking at 109 in Broadway. It's like an H Mart. There's like a Chase Bank now. There's like no food. Like where? I'm like, where was that?
It was literally on the south east corner, around the southeast corner. Before all that stuff. But it was there for a hot couple of minutes, and then you know what? Sometimes, as we said, before their time, things may not necessarily survive the test of time. But Night Watchman, how we doing, buddy?
We got a few more minutes. Yeah,
I
you
love
start thinking about before your time, after your time. I'm thinking about 109th and Broadway when we used to still have those Chinese Cuban places that
Very
all
nice.
disappeared.
That was yes.
Yeah. But I got a question I want to ask all of you, and this is how do you manage the work-life balance? Because it seems like you guys, burn the candle at both ends and still have to have a life, and you're part of your communities, and you've got employees and you got deliveries. How do you manage the juggling act that you have to do in order to keep everything moving?
Anyone?
Well, for me, it's just me and my husband. We don't have kids. We don't have any pets. So it's just the two of us. And he's a CEO and founder of an online education company. We actually met here in Harlem.
Congrats.
And
yes.
Thank you. And so it's just the two of us. So he's really busy now that things are starting to open back up. He's traveling. He used to travel like at least 2 weeks out of every month anyway. So COVID, he was like locked down at home every day, kind of going stir crazy for a bit because he's used to like getting his points game up. But he's been home, and now that things are opening up, we're both traveling a lot. So we try to prioritize the time that we're both in the same city, and just be very deliberate about it. I have, like I was in Atlanta doing a dinner Wednesday, had to fly back at 1 a.m., landed, got back home to Harlem at about 1 a.m., woke up at 5 a.m. to do Good Morning America yesterday.
Wow.
And then immediately after, had to go to work and cook for a client and do some other stuff. And then this Saturday, I'm doing my collab dinner with Red Rooster. So I'm running a couple dishes from the menu. Marcus was so gracious. And, last Sunday when we did the first book launch party for that, Marcus was in town. We all hung out, but my husband was out of town. So this weekend, my husband's in town. Marcus isn't here. So, we can't have the double date with Maya and Marcus. But, we just try to be deliberate. It's easier when it's just the two of us. With people with kids and families, I'm sure it's, much more difficult to be able to balance, because you need to give a lot more time to home. But for me, I just try to like really tune in when I am here.
Gotcha. Chef JJ, is that the case? You being a father, do tell your experience of balance.
You know, you got to find your balance. It is a hard one, right? I have twins. They're 4.5 years old. Most of my time I spend with them, like I drop my kids off to school every morning. Off to school is really, really important for me on that note, and to spend time. My dad spent a lot of time with me growing up.
Nice.
So it's really important there. But yeah, you get like on the side of like my wife, me and her, like we took our 5th anniversary trip for like 4 days recently, and it was a good time to relax and just like catch back up, right? Because she's busy as a nurse in New York City. I'm busy opening restaurants and doing all type of stuff. I kind of tell myself mentally it's like a normal day in the office, but I think now in my career I've been able to be fortunate that I can balance. I think early on in my career was very much head down and trying to build this foundation. Now I'm able to kind of pick and choose, know what time I want to be home or would like to be home, know I'm not going to do maybe things on the weekends all the time. I can walk to the restaurants with my kids and check on the staff, right? So, but yeah, my phone is always going off. The business doesn't stop. So there's things that other people can't do that they need me. But I'm very fortunate that I can balance the seesaw now the way I want to. I hope that I like to see it balanced. If that makes sense.
No, it does. It does, my brother, and for sure. With Lauren, I mean, what are you thinking about opening up a new spot and you're pregnant? Did you know about this balance beforehand?
Yeah, this question is tricky for me too, because not only I typically have a good balance and prioritize my own home life with the businesses and put really good people in place so I don't feel like I have to be there all the time. But I had my baby. She was born July 6th, and unfortunately her father passed away of an overdose in October. So the balance is going through 4 businesses while you're going through bereavement and trying to figure out how to be a mom. It's a lot more challenging than it's ever been for me. That's for sure. And I realize this isn't very rosy, but it's very real, so I'm gonna say it.
Absolutely. And Quie, tell us your balancing act, man.
My balance is a little different. My wife now was my girlfriend when I was 16, so we've been together for years.
Congrats, bro.
Black love is strong. But the man I am now, I grew up in this business, and she was right beside me, so she understands how it is. She understands the flow and the nature of the business. But I have to have my anniversary off. We have to go away. That's a staple in our relationship, no matter what it is, what time I'm doing. But this is my life, and she grew up with me in this life, so she knows how it is.
So definitely just finding time for family, for that connection. That's what I heard from you, Chef JJ. You got to do it. And Quie, same thing. Adrienne, and I'm thinking NightWatchman. How do you keep it together?
Yeah, well, it's the same thing. I'm blessed to be in a very strong relationship. We communicate a lot. My wife is an artist and I'm an entrepreneur, so we have very flexible schedules, but we make sure that there's time to dedicated for what we have to do together. And we're in the greatest neighborhood in the world. I mean, I love being in Harlem. I love this interaction. We're blessed, Curtis and I, to be able to have these type of conversations and get a window into the world of the things that you guys are doing. And really, we're cheerleaders. We're cheerleaders for the entrepreneurs and the artists in Harlem, the creative people. It's that spirit that's been in this neighborhood for well over 100 years now, and it's still strong. And so whether people have been born here or made it their home, there's an energy here that we're attracted to, and we appreciate people like yourselves that have really worked diligently to not only make yourselves part of it, but create space for other people, whether it be with food or with jobs or with your different aspects of creativity. So I think we're in about wrap up mode, but I think we have time to just kind of talk to everybody and just give us some parting thoughts.
Yes. Who'd like to jump in?
Well, I'll jump in and say, yo, thank you.
Go ahead.
Curtis, NightWatchman, I appreciate you guys. Seriously, you are Harlem. We back in Harlem. You open us up, open arms. We're here now. Appreciate the love. Thank you. 72nd Street. We are there on the west side. 145th and Edgecombe. We are here to serve the community. We're here to serve the family. Let us feed you. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
You're very welcome, my brother. Lauren, do tell some parting thoughts.
Parting thoughts. I don't know. I think this is the third time I've come on the show, and I'm just reflecting back on each time. It's like at one point the whole world is shutting down, and I'm on with Nokia, excuse me. And then the next time I was like pregnant and building NorthEnd, I was running to a paint store, I think, while we were on the phone. And now here I am with the 9-month-old, and so I guess it's just like looking back, like you don't know where your life's gonna go in the future, and it's just embracing and enjoying it as it happens, the present.
Absolutely. So Adrienne, tell us.
Just thanks. It's great to be here with you. I've seen you at everything, Curtis, from Hot Bread Kitchen that I volunteer time and support on one of their boards. So beautiful. I love, you never know where you're going to run into other Harlem people and see the causes and see the things that we all support and get behind. So thank you and NightWatchman for having me on. I'm in cookbook mode right now. So my parting words are buy Sunday Best. And look for the return of the Sunday Best pop-up series. If you're in Harlem this Sunday, come by Red Rooster, pick up a copy of the book, try some of the dishes that we're running on the menu.
Oh, there we go. Hold it higher. Hold it higher. Higher. Yes. There we go. Yeah.
That's my baby.
All right. Okay.
So, just thank you guys. And it's great to meet. I know JJ. It's great to meet Quie and Lauren. I look forward to coming to all the new 4 locations, Quie, that you guys are opening, and the 2 that you have now. I'm gonna be buying something at every place, supporting. And Lauren, I've been to your places already. They're fantastic. My husband orders takeout from JJ like at least 3 times a week. While he's working from home. So, this is all very near and dear to my heart, and these are my neighbors, and I'm glad that we've had this time to kind of talk and get to know each other better.
Beautiful, beautiful. And yes, Chef JJ, take us home, my brother.
I mean, this is the foundation of who Harlem is, right? You can touch all the corners with everybody here that's on the call, right, or just sitting here chatting. Curtis, I appreciate you. I've known you when I call myself Young JJ when I and you really have been a backbone, not just to my business but to a lot of businesses in up in Harlem.
Well, I'm happy that Field Trip delivers to West Harlem, baby. Yeah.
West Harlem. But most of all, I think it's really, for people listening, go out and support your local community. There's a bunch of great restaurants here. There's a bunch of great people doing great things. If it's a food truck in front of the hospital, if it's a food truck in front of the state building, if it's any of our restaurants, let the money circulate in the community. It's really important right now because it's been really tough for restaurants, and especially restaurants in Harlem. Been really, really, really hard. So, I tell people, go out, support, spend your money, drop some money in the tip jar. Lauren, try to get into Honeywell. Just not
yes.
tell them Lauren sent you. Don't text her. Just tell them that she sent you. Quie, I'm gonna come up. I'm excited to see the new location. I'm gonna come through and get some fried chicken. And thanks again, everybody, for having me on. I really appreciate it. And pull up the field trip in Harlem between 115th and 116th and Malcolm X Boulevard.
That's it. Night Watchman, take us home, baby.
Oh, hi.
All right.
Hey.
Okay.
Nice.
Hey.
Nice.
All right. Yes.
Wow.
Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. Well, that's definitely a note that we can end on. So you've been listening to Soul Lounge Primetime or watching Soul Lounge Primetime. We air at 7 p.m. on Mondays on WHCR 90.3 FM. You can find us at 8 p.m. streaming on YouTube or Facebook. Like, subscribe, share, and go to all these restaurants. And for each and every one of you guys, we wish you your best year ever this year. People are coming back. People want to eat. They want to experience what you have to offer. So thanks for joining us on Soul Lounge Primetime.
Love it.
Thank
Love you guys.
Thank you guys.